Okay, so I have a problem. I've been packing my case to go back to France and I don't have enough room for all of the books that I want to take with me. I don't think it's my nudist era just yet, and so I had to make room for all the clothes, which is very annoying and inconvenient. However, I have a plan, and it involves you guys. I've divided up all of the books that I want to take with me into categories, and I'm gonna ask you guys over on my Instagram story which ones I should take. My Instagram followers are going to be controlling what I read. So I'll take a picture of each of the categories and then a poll, and whichever one wins will be the one that goes in the suitcase. I don't know whether this is my best or worst idea yet, but we'll find out. Listen, I always say reading books and buying books are two different hobbies. I've been taking that to the extreme, and this is basically me staging an intervention with your help to read the books that I already own rather than buying new ones. Okay, let's start with these educational books. It's a big goal of mine this year to read at least one non-fiction educational book each month. Did I fail that in January? Yes. But you know what? January is my 30-day free trial, so February is the month we get started with that. Anyways, my choices here are, firstly, Empireland. This is all about how imperialism has shaped modern Britain. I think it's going to fill in the gaps of a lot of the things the education system misses. And I'm actually Twitter mutuals with the author, so I'm just gonna pick that name drop up off the floor. Next, we have The Whole Picture, which is the colonial story of the art in our museums and why we need to talk about it. Again, really excited to read that one. And then finally, we have The Transgender Issue, which is about how a range of social issues specifically impact trans people. It's really important to me to be an even better ally to my friends and followers who are trans, so I really want to get around to reading this as well. The poll is live. Let's see what you guys think I should read first. Okay, another really important thing to me in my reading is to make sure I'm reading things that have been translated and opening myself up to so much incredible world literature from all around the globe. And so I have two choices for this. Firstly, The Vegetarian. This is by Han Kang and it's been translated from Korean. And then we have Breast and Eggs by Miko Kawakami, and this has been translated from Japanese. And the second poll is live. Then I have two short story collections, again something that I don't think I read enough of. So I have Black Swans by Eve Babbitt and then Shoko Smile by Choi Un-young. And then the final poll is going to be for a book that I have in hardback. So I've got Ariadne by Jennifer Saint, We Are All Birds of Uganda by Hafsa Zion, Meg Mason's Sorrow and Bliss, and finally Brian Washington's Memorial. Honestly, I want to get around to reading all of these books eventually, so I'm happy with whoever wins. So may the best books win. I'm very intrigued to see which ones you guys choose for me. It feels like we're all going book shopping together, except they're just from my bookshelves. Polls are live. I'll see you in Paris. A bientôt. Bonjour et bienvenue. I've got a bag of chiquettes. I'm in Paris. Life is sweet. I'm staying in Montmartre, which is an area I've never stayed in before, and it is just completely and utterly beautiful. And honestly, I'm just so buzzing to be back. I went home for 1 week for Christmas, right? Ended up being there for 2 months because of all the visa issues, the COVID issues, the Brexit issues. Nightmare, but we're back now. What I do want to talk about is the poll that I did because the results are in. And the winner was Ariadne with 21,720 votes. That's insane. Memorial came in second place with 16,600 votes, and then the other two books had 8,000 each. And so this is the first book that I read for this video. But before we get into that, you may have noticed this very snazzy phone case that I have on my phone, which actually kind of looks like the cover of a literary fiction novel that would break my heart. And I'm here for it. This is from Casetify, who have very kindly sponsored today's video. They have such a huge variety of phone cases on their website, and these are the 4 cases that I chose. I even customized a couple of them, and I'm absolutely obsessed with how they came out. And I've genuinely never had so many compliments on anything in my life. So would highly recommend. Casetify's new Impact and Ultra Impact cases are made of 65% recycled and plant-based materials. And the beautiful packaging is actually 100% recycled. The ink is made from soybeans, which is so cool. Sorry about that. The cases also give you drop protection of up to 9.8 feet, which is nearly as tall as me. So, shall we do a tester? Oh, it hit my leg! It hit my freaking leg. Okay, well, the phone and the phone case are happy. My leg and my downstairs neighbours are not. But that is not all, and this blew my mind, by the way. The Impact and Ultra Impact cases feature Defensify, which is an antimicrobial coating That's a big word for Elmo. And that kills 99% of bacteria as well as preventing it from sticking to the surface. Like, what? I am genuinely so impressed by everything this case can do. I genuinely at this stage would not be surprised if it can do your weekly shop for you as well. So if that sounds good to you, I will link the case to my website down below. And if you click my link, you can actually get 15% off. So what are you waiting for, my friend? And massive shout out to Casetify. Thanks so much for sponsoring this video. And now, the first book. The Woman, the Myth, the Legend. Quite literally, Ariadne is a Greek mythological retelling, which is something that is super popular in the publishing industry right now, and she didn't disappoint. So we basically have the story of Theseus going into the labyrinth to kill the Minotaur. Stay with me here, but it's told from Ariadne's perspective. We also have Icarus and Dionysus. Truly, it's an all-star cast of Greek mythological characters. It's like the Coachella lineup of Greek mythology. If you loved Song of Achilles or Circe, you will love this book. Is it as poetic and lyrical as Madeline Miller? No, but it's still fantastic. And the main thing I definitely want to point out here is that you don't need to be an expert or know anything at all really about Greek mythology to enjoy this. It's super accessible. Every character and every event is introduced with the assumption that you have no prior knowledge of them from mythology. We don't tolerate intellectual snobbery on this channel, and this definitely doesn't have any. So you can really just enjoy this as the immersive and action-packed and thrilling book that it is. And it also has a really interesting feminist undertone which reframes a lot of the narratives from mythology and points out the misogyny of women so regularly being scapegoated or blamed for their male counterparts' mistakes. And this book, I think, toes the line very well between portraying women as victims in these scenarios whilst also making them empowered and headstrong characters with autonomy. And so it's a book that I'm really pleased to have read. I've seen some criticism where people say that Ariadne is a bit of a pushover at the end of the book, but I think that an important part of these feminist retellings is that we understand why she is led to live like that, how her experiences, specifically of womanhood, shape the life that she lives. This author isn't here to radically rewrite mythology with anachronisms. We're just viewing the stories from a new lens and recentering important characters who are often kind of dismissed or oversimplified. This fleshes out the female characters in the detail and complexity that they deserve. So I liked it, and I'd like to order 5 more mythological retellings, please. Thank you very much. Okay, so the winning short story collection with 30,000 votes to 24,000 votes was Shoko's Smile. I have just finished reading this book, and let me tell you, Shoko's not the only one who's smiling. I love this. This is a microscopic study of human relationships and human communication, and the things that really occur in real people's lives. And what I mean by that is that each story really refrains from becoming sensationalized. Instead, they are extraordinary for their ordinariness. There's 7, I think, stories in total, and they're all so carefully crafted that they work really well as standalones. They each generally revolve around the personal relationships and intimate conversations that are held between women in a range of different scenarios. And there are some lines that are just devastating. Let me read you one. "Those were the days when I believed my life would turn out special. I secretly sneered at cowards who compromised with reality. But this silly arrogance of mine is the reason why I am nothing now." She's insane for that. She is insane for that. That hit deep. That extract is from the titular story, which is Shoko's Smile. Yes, I did just say tit. Moving on. That story is about 2 young girls, one from Japan, one from Korea, who drift in and out of each other's lives. There's some beautiful letter writing. No spoilers here. My favourite story was the 3rd one, which discusses the Vietnam War from the perspective of a Korean family and a Vietnamese family. Basically, years and years after the war, these 2 families are having a little reunion, and their kids start piping up, and the kids' kind of innocent curiosity sparks a conversation about Korea's complicity in that war and some uncomfortable truths. I thought it was fascinating. It's a viewpoint that I hadn't really been exposed to before, because in the West, we always kind of center America's perspective of the Vietnam War. So anyway, I'm really pleased to have read this. Cheers guys, much appreciated. Even though I do always find short story collections much harder to review because you kind of want to give each individual story their own rating. But one thing I do want to say is that the translator, which is Sung Ryu, I think did a brilliant job of capturing the tone here. It felt really somber. And I would say that the thread that kind of links all these stories together is that each one features a character who is confronting, often for the first time, uncomfortable truths from their past, and they're not really sure what will happen in the future. So we join them as they're trying to navigate this very unextraordinary liminal space in between those two things. And I liked it. On to the next one. For your next choice of books for me to read, you had a selection of translated literature. And this is a Korean book that was translated by Deborah Smith, and it's called The Vegetarian. And speaking of diets, look at her, she's a slim thing. She has got her summer body going on. It is hot book summer over here, and I love a novella. And although it isn't long, and perhaps because it isn't long, it packs such a huge punch. Like, Anthony Joshua better retire because he can't punch like this. I always say this, but never underestimate the extraordinary talent and ability that it takes to be able to write something that is equally concise and complex. It's a huge skill, and so I am not surprised that this won the Man Booker International Prize in 2016. It is completely unlike anything I've ever read before. It is a whole feast, start to main and dessert. We follow 3 different perspectives, but they all center around a woman who has decided to become vegetarian. She's been having these horrible and traumatic nightmares which lead her to giving up meat, but don't linger too much on the fact that she's becoming vegetarian. Like, the point really is that it's an allegory. It's an allegory how one person can make a decision which is deeply personal to them and very important to them, and other people may misinterpret that and misconstrue that. They dismiss her very valid feelings, and ultimately they patronize her. So although this is ostensibly, on surface level, a book about becoming a vegetarian, it's really about so much more than that. It's about how individual agency is perceived when it goes against the grain of conventions and norms in society. And this character who disrupts the narrative that is expected of her is estranged and cast aside and marginalized. So this is a book on one hand about refusing to conform, and on the other hand about narrow-mindedness. It's short, it's intense. I don't think it will necessarily be for everyone, especially if you find scenes of physical and emotional abuse quite distressing and triggering. A heads up that this is really, really dark and morbid and bleak and full of despair. And maybe it says more about me that I enjoyed it. I don't know. I definitely think this is a book that I'm going to continue to think about and talk about for a long time. It's definitely one of those books that's going to keep pulling me back. Every character just behaves shockingly. I'm so impressed by this. I really, really liked it. So thanks you guys. Thanks for making me get around to reading it. And now on to the last book. The final book that you guys chose for me to read, again, had an overwhelming number of votes. 22,344 to be specific, was this one. This is The Whole Picture by Alice Proctor. And what I mostly have to say about this is, wow. This was so eye-opening, such an important insight into the curation of museums and art galleries and the echoes of colonialism that exist in those spaces. Alice Proctor basically takes you on an alternative tour through art history, focusing in on the stories of specific examples to then kind of expand on that and extrapolate bigger ideas. And these examples illuminate her points in interesting and memorable ways. She encourages you to think about the narratives that museums and galleries and exhibitions are telling you, and most importantly to examine what or who is missing from those collections. So which people and which groups are not being accounted for? How much suffering did those certain groups go through for that piece of art to reach you? What context is missing from that piece of content, and why was it neglected in the first place? When history is recounted and distilled, who is the one crafting that story and who is the one being ignored by it? What I really like is this serves as the perfect rebuttal for those people who say that in 2020 we all just got way too woke and the art world is suffering. Instead, the author suggests that art should be understood in its original context, and this isn't new. People have always been fighting for this, but unfortunately they have previously been silenced, and so now, while we're in this cultural moment, we need to pass the megaphone to them, amplify their stories, and make some noise. This book is densely packed with insightful and fascinating observations. I'm actually going to do a whole Instagram post highlighting my favourite quotes, but how about I read you one of them? I do not believe that guilt is inherited, but responsibility is, and there is nobody alive today whose existence has not been shaped by colonialist, racist forces. That is a legacy we all live with, and we should all deal with the consequences. If you have benefited, then soaking yourself in remorse and guilt does not help anyone. What you can do, though, is ask constantly how you have felt those benefits, at whose expenses were they gained. The questions are finally being asked. Who has the right to hold objects and to tell their stories? It's really modern and up to date. It covers the Black Lives Matter protests, it covers the Roads Must Fall movement. I feel that everyone should read this, and so I'm reluctant to criticize it, but what I would say is that the author is really, really good, but not exceptional, if that makes sense. Sometimes it does lose the momentum a little bit. I think some things are over-explained, some things under-explained. The introduction, I thought, was brilliant, and then it sort of wanes a little bit, and then the ending just gets better and better and better. But on the whole, it is pretty readable and a great entry point into this discussion. So what I've learned is that you guys have excellent taste. But then again, I knew that already because you are subscribed. So a win for everyone involved, truly. If you want to make sure that you're involved next time I do one of these videos, make sure you are subscribed to the channel and also following me over on Instagram, where I post daily updates and frequently ask for help on these videos. A massive shout out to Casetify for sponsoring this video. Don't forget you can get 15% off by using my link down below. Until next time, all the best, stay in touch, have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you very soon. Bye!